Imagine making an investment, checking your screen a while later, and seeing that 93% of its peak value has been completely wiped out. You'd probably assume the asset was dead, but in this case, that exact same asset is still worth over $3 billion today. That resilience comes down to a group of highly dedicated internet users who call themselves the SHIB Army. If you've ever seen how Taylor Swift fans or K-pop groups mobilize online to support their favorite artists, you understand the mechanics here. It's essentially a massive, highly organized internet fan club. There are no quarterly earnings reports or physical products holding this price up. The value exists entirely because millions of people on the internet collectively agree that it should. To understand how this works, we need to look at what Shiba Inu actually is. Technically speaking, it's a digital token on a network, not a standalone coin. That distinction means SHIB doesn't have its own standalone network. Instead, it hitches a ride on the Ethereum network, using that existing digital highway to process all of its transactions. The project started back in 2020 as a meme, an internet joke, created by an anonymous developer who went by the name Ryoshi. When it launched, there were no closed-door meetings with wealthy venture capitalists and no private early sales for insiders. Anyone who wanted to participate had to show up on day one and jump in alongside everyone else. The entire project was designed to see what happens when you strip away corporate backing and leave an asset entirely in the hands of the crowd. Today, that crowd has pushed the total market value of SHIB to roughly $3.2 billion. To understand that total value, consider the maximum supply, 589 trillion tokens. Almost every single token is already held and traded by the public. To chip away at this mountain, a burn mechanism acts as a digital furnace, permanently destroying a small fraction. By slowly removing tokens from existence over time, the remaining ones gradually become slightly more scarce. But when you start with hundreds of trillions, the math is unforgiving. Chewing through enough supply to actually make a dent in the price is the single largest hurdle the project faces. Because there are so many tokens, the price of a single SHIB is a fraction of a cent. Today, it trades right around $0.000054. This chart shows that wild history. You see a massive euphoric spike hitting an all-time high in October 2021, followed by a steep drop into a long, flat valley. After a slide like that, the overall mood in the market right now is highly cautious. Zooming in on the current flat section, traders watch a specific ceiling near 0.000006. Pushing past it is the next test. Looking at the full timeline paints a clear picture. When an asset's price is driven entirely by internet hype, the swings up are dizzying and the falls are punishing. So how do you evaluate an asset like this? The optimistic view rests heavily on the sheer size and loyalty of the people holding it. Developers are also trying to give those holders more things to do. They've been building out a secondary network called shibarium, designed to create actual uses for the token beyond just keeping it in a wallet. On the cautious side of the argument, you run straight into the math problem we discussed. With hundreds of trillions of tokens diluting the supply, it takes an enormous amount of money to move the price upward. There's also the reality of attention spans. Relying on unpredictable internet cycles to prop up your value leaves you vulnerable the moment the crowd gets distracted. Ultimately, evaluating SHIB means looking at a tug of war. You have incredibly strong community momentum pulling on one end and heavy economic friction dragging on the other. The clearest way to view SHIB is to accept it for what it is, a community-driven bet. It does not behave like a traditional company with steady business fundamentals. If you decide you want to participate, it's easy to find. You can trade it on major trading apps like Coinbase and Binance, or swap for it directly on peer-to-peer trading sites like Uniswap. Of course, this breakdown is strictly for educational purposes and not financial advice. Always dig into the numbers and do your own research before putting money on the line. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more clear explanations of the digital economy. Even with its massive drop from the highs, Shiba Inu proves a fascinating point about modern markets. Sometimes pure collective belief is enough to build a billion-dollar asset.